Broadcasting live on StarWorldWideNetworks.com. It's time for The Real Deal. Join the ambassador and special guest hosts as they put together great guests and honest commentary on a range of issues. But one of their main topics will be preserving Native American tributes in sports team nicknames. Also avid fans of music and the arts, and they'll always make time for a great song or two. Now, it's time for The Real Deal. Here's your host, the Ambassador.
Welcome to The Real Deal, ladies and gentlemen. This is the ambassador at the famous Star Worldwide Networks in the Camelback Towers in beautiful downtown Scottsdale, Arizona. And yes, we are definitely off the reservation. With me tonight is my producer, Kyle Pratt, the son of the infamous Dave Pratt. Say hello, Kyle.
How's it going, Ambassador?
Ambassador's all in. Also with me is my co-host from Hong Kong, Maggie Yee. Please say hello, Maggie.
How are you, Ambassador?
Ambassador's good. Maggie got her driving test, and she's been out driving around.
Awesome.
Yep, and she's doing good, and now she's going to have a Halloween party, so that'll be nice.
Yeah, thank you, Ambassador, for the Halloween party.
I always say if you can drive in Arizona, you can drive anywhere because our drivers here are crazy. So.
Yeah, I think although I got my driver license, I still need more practice.
Oh, yeah.
And Ambassador is a really good teacher, and thank you so much for help me a lot. Thank you.
Well,
I really appreciate it.
Yeah, I'll tell you, that can be a little scary out there sometimes, especially in the beginning. Yeah. You can check out her jewelry at jewelryscottsdale.com. You can see Maggie's jewelry, and she's also exhibiting at the Phoenix Symphony at Symphony Hall. Tonight we got some great guests coming on the show, and this just happened. This started this morning, actually. We have two national advisors to the Donald Trump campaign, and they're going to be on tonight, and this is going to be big. We always have some big shows, and they just keep getting better and better and better. And then we're going to try to get my dear friend Margaret Clark Price on the second half of the show. Our sponsor, Grace Propane, with offices in northern Arizona, family-owned business. John and Susan Graves, please buy your propane from Grace Propane. They've been serving Native Americans for a long time. HUMATE International, HUMATE.com. That's my company. You can buy it locally here at Summer Winds Nursery now. It's under Dave the Garden Guy. He private labeled it. And then you can also get it from me, HUMATE.com. Our other sponsors, Swisher Air Conditioning. They're donating a unit to a low-income Native American family here in Arizona. This is a $10,000 deal at no cost to the family. Please consider being a sponsor. We need sponsors to keep this show going. Don't forget to download the new app. Kyle, you can tell them about that.
Yeah, it comes with all the bug fixes, and if your listeners like using iTunes, they can find you on there as well.
Right, yeah. Listen, you can download the new app on your smartphone. It makes it real easy to listen to our show anytime. Yep. We want to thank our listeners all over the country, Native Americans and all Americans coast to coast. I'd like to thank our listeners here locally at Channel 3 and 5 and 12, and anchor Jamie Soretta, AK hashtag Valley Treasure. American Indian Center of the Great Plains, ladies and gentlemen. In Kansas City, Missouri, Johnny Lerner, enrolled Arapaho, Cheyenne Arapaho, and I are partners in the American Indian Center of the Great Plains. Now I want to say something in Navajo, and then I'm going to introduce you to my Che Peter McDonald. Yate She Dene. Dennis Yellow Horse Jones in She Hadish Banana. Peter McDonald, would you say something, please?
Yate Shas Toy Sazane, Setelke, She Kent Neshike, Nocliniki, O Shidi Peter McDonald, Dashne, Aska Zahon Slobet, Anibashichin, Adotis a Carne, Dashinale, Ashi Dashiche, Totich in Eba Esetta, Shada Halia, Kododi, Nini, Eba Hanne, no, Kodoy. Ambassador Dennis Yellowhorse Niji Yaltijo Yoshwal Akota Nini Be Edeba Hanne the real deal will yell. So koi hashina lan ne says yes yadal lahada ba oh lahab lahadal now. Die do kot eda. Ebony na hada kisigi kodo the real deal no yahal negi da nini. So ede ba honne. Ako ikena slagi sto banda yohni to banda notra. Graves Company will yove. La shibe da no Sunday da jo kodo kushi out. Di ikena slau kodo kuichi na long kodo hiji yati.
Thank you, Peter. For our new listeners that haven't heard our show before, let me tell you about this guy here. He was the 4-term chairman of the Navajo Nation. He was the chief. And he was a registered Republican, a real conservative guy, but he was also a Navajo code talker. And when he was a young man, the Navajo, there was young Navajos that were enrolled into the Marine Corps to develop a code using their Navajo language, and he was one of them. And there's like only 15 of these guys left living because they're all old timers, and he's one of them. He's the president, and he's I think the youngest one. And it just so happened last February he come down from the reservation, which is up in northern Arizona, down here to Phoenix, and he come to stay with me because it was very cold up there. And he called me and he said, "Yeah," he says, "I'm freezing up here." He said, "I'd like to come down and spend a couple of weeks with you." And I said, "Yeah, sure." Because I'd lost my wife a couple of years ago, and we were all very, very good friends, and he was related to my wife in the clan system. So he come down and stayed, and so I told Kyle, my producer here, that I want to do some shows with him. And so we got him in here to the studio, and we did 4 shows back to back, didn't we, Kyle?
Great shows.
Oh, yeah, the Golden Bundle. That's what we call them. And if you get a chance, go back to our archived shows and look for the name Peter MacDonald. That's M-A-C capital D-O-N-A-L-D. And you'll see 4 in a row there, and I think it was about last February. And listen to those shows, because I'm telling you, you'll get an education that it's better than reading a book or watching a movie. You're going to hear it from the guy live that did these shows, and you'll get a real clear clarification on how the Navajo language was used to help win World War II, where the Japanese and the Germans couldn't break the code. And it's definitely the real deal. So listen to those shows, and then we're trying to get him back down here to do some more shows. And when we do, we'll have it on Facebook, and you'll see his name, and then you can listen to the shows as we progress. Okay, now I want to introduce my business associate with Jay Stryker out of New York. They're one of the market makers on Wall Street, family-owned business. His name is Mark Burr. He's an ex-Marine. He speaks 5 or 6 different languages. One of them is Spanish. Now we're going to say something to our Spanish listeners that, especially like in northern Mexico and southern Arizona, New Mexico, and California, a lot of these Indian tribes don't have their own language. It's gone. So their language is Spanish, so Mark's going to say something to you.
Claro que sí, don Dennis. Nuevamente, bienvenidos a nuestra audiencia de hispanoparlantes y a todos nuestros patrocinadores, Graves Propane de Flagstaff y YouMade Internacional de Gallup, Nuevo México, y a todos los radio oyentes a través de la nación y del Real Deal y nuestro anfitrión, el embajador.
Thank you, Mark. Now I'm going to have my co-host here, who's here from Hong Kong, moved here a couple years ago, fashion and jewelry designer. She's going to say something to all of our people that are listening in Asia and in Hong Kong in her language.
Thanks, Chief. 其实这个节目是说美国印第安人的历史文化。Western Post 访问所有美国印第安人，他们都喜欢 Western Redskins Kenya City Chief 这个名字。但是有的花园要改变这个名字。珍妮斯·王马先生为了保护这个名字，他本人做出了好大的贡献和支持。我们希望得到每一位的支持和参与。 陈尼斯、王马先生还有出售有机土眼胶优美，如果有需要，请打我美国电话6025151073。我们都喜欢 Donald Trump。在中国华人所有的人都投 Donald Trump 的票，我很希望我们的中国华人在美国的也给那个 Donald Trump 投他一票。Thank you very much for having me on Real Deal. That's such my honor.
That's great. Thank you, Maggie. I'm starting to understand it a little more, aren't you, Kyle?
I'm trying to follow along.
But it sounds good.
Yeah.
Too complicated for you guys.
Way too complicated.
Yeah. But I'll tell you what, though, some of our listeners have listened to her, and they reached out to her, and they said they wanted to meet me about my humate. And this has been like 2 or 3 months ago. And she told them, they said they wanted to fly in here, and they come in from Taiwan. And I told Maggie to tell them to come in on a Wednesday. And they actually did, didn't they?
Yep, I remember that.
They sit right here in the studio with us on Wednesday, and we did the show.
Mm-hmm.
And then after the next day, we had cars, and we booked it up to Gallup, New Mexico, where I produced the humate. And they took pictures, got samples, and took them to Window Rock and showed them the capital of the Navajo Nation. And then they bailed it on back to Taiwan, and now they're in the process of registering my products over there to import them in Taiwan and Vietnam. So that's a good thing. Star Worldwide Networks, ladies and gentlemen, is the largest, fastest-growing internet radio station in the country. 200 shows, 6 million listeners. Kyle, tell our audience who's number one here.
The Real Deal's number one.
That's right! You better believe it, and that's because of all the fans of the teams that honor Native Americans. We want to thank them, the Kansas City Chiefs, the Washington Redskins, Golden State Warriors, Atlanta Braves, Cleveland Indians, Chicago Blackhawks, for listening and honoring Native Americans by using the names. And how about those Cleveland Indians? They won last night.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, they're getting a lot of flack because of their name, these political correctness idiots. Are on them saying, you got to change that name, got to change that name. Yeah. Oh, boy, it's racist. So much bullshit.
Well, their name's obviously done some good because they're in the World Series.
That's right. And they got their cap on. They got Chief Wahoo up there. And I'm for them. I am for them, and I'm for the Cubs, too. But, let them alone. Let them have the name. They're honoring Native Americans. That's a heck of a lot more than a lot of these people in Washington are doing. Mm-hmm. They don't do a damn thing in Washington. That's why we're for Trump, and we don't make no bones about it. We're going to take a short break. But before I go, I want to tell you, ladies and gentlemen, what's happening with this political correctness is ruining our country. Trump says it. We say it on our show. And this is, in my opinion, this is social and cultural genocide to Native Americans. This is what was done in Germany to the Jewish people. Burn the books, get rid of the race. In 100 years, Native Americans will just be Americans. And that's what we got to change, and that's what we got to stop. And that's why we got to vote Donald Trump into office on November 8th. So with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, before we introduce our first guest, we're going to take a little short break here and listen to a song.
Cruising to a bar on the shore, to picture place
Okay, we're back. Now for our two guests for the first half here. The first guest is Mina Holmes. Let me tell you a little bit about her, ladies and gentlemen. She's a national advisor to Donald Trump, international as well. Assistant Director for the Christian Broadcast Network, CBN, in Taiwan. Board member of the American Arabic Christian TV and the Humanitarian Work for the Middle East. Master Executive of Kair Nutraceutical Company. Managing Director of the Law Offices of Keith C. Holmes. She's a volunteer member of Asian Americans for Trump and Faith Outreach for Trump, working very closely with our next guest, Herman Martier, and he's also an advisor to Trump. And their website, ladies and gentlemen, is AsianAmericansForTrump.com, faithandreachfortrump.com. Now, the other gentleman that's going to be here on the show with her is Herman Martier, and I'm trying to pull up his bio here. Hang on. Herman is president of the Asian Prayer Network and Asian Action Network organizations that strategically connect and mobilize Asian American Christians to pray and work together to see transformation in America. Asian Action Network was founded with the purpose of providing a unified voice for the Asian and Pacific Islander communities in the United States of America to inspire Asian Americans to engage in society, to promote Christian values, and be involved in the political process to bring about godly and righteous leadership in America. He also serves on the Asian Advisory Council for Donald Trump. Mina and Herman, thank you. Welcome to The Real Deal.
Thank you.
Glad to be on the program. Thank you.
Yes. First, how did you guys decide to get involved with Donald Trump?
Herman, go ahead.
Good. Well, I was actually helping another presidential candidate at the beginning of this year, and but I was really wanting to support a candidate that has a backbone, a political backbone that could stand up for a lot of the political issues that we're facing today, especially stand up against Washington and the establishment, and wanted to see change in America. So I was able to connect with Donald Trump through a friend, and he asked me to join with him in a meeting with Donald Trump in New York City. And that's how I met Mr. Trump, and had a meeting with him. And I asked him his commitment towards Asian Americans, and he gave me his commitment. And he said, "Herman, I want to make America strong again, and I want to stand with you guys and help me change this nation." And it wasn't a political meeting. It was no reporters, nothing. And I asked him a question why he's running for office and become a president. And he said, "Because I love this country, and the country is bleeding. We're losing our country, and we want to see our nation become great again, and Americans to be proud of this country again." And that's how I became a supporter of Donald Trump.
Well, that's great. Well, thank you. How about you, Mina?
Well, actually, I've been a lifetime volunteer, so helping Trump campaign was very easy choice when Herman asked me to help. But actually started was last year when I was given two dreams about Donald Trump, and he was at that time very unlikely a person because he was not seen as a presidential person. He was a businessman, and he did not have a very good reputation. But I was given these two dreams, and it was the beginning of my search. And eventually, I was surprised to find out we have the same value, pro-life, pro-gun, pro-traditional marriage, pro a lot of pro-together, pro-Israel. So it is a very easy choice. But I actually have many other personal reasons I can tell you later. Right,
yeah. Well, we all kind of fit in that arena because we are totally for Trump. We're Native Americans for Trump. And, one of the big things that my show and why I started my show is I support the names of the teams that honor Native Americans in sports. The Washington Redskins, Kansas City Chiefs, Chicago Blackhawks, Atlanta Braves, Cleveland Indians, Golden State Warriors, All those teams are under attack by these political correctness people that want to tell Native Americans what's good for them. And I mean, it's disgusting. It is.
I know.
It's disgusting, and there's people behind it that are fake Indians. This guy named Ray Halbritter, you'll hear more about him off the air because we're coming after him. We're coming after him big time. Fake Indian, owns a casino up in upstate New York, stealing from real Indians, and gives $35,000 plate dinners to Obama, and the Washington Redskins, their stadium is in Maryland, Landover, Maryland, which is actually closer to Baltimore than Washington, D.C., and they wanted to build a stadium in Washington, D.C., in the District of Columbia, and Obama and Clinton told the National Park Service that they're not allowed to have a stadium in Washington, D.C. unless they change their name.
Wow.
Yeah, it's just awful what these people are doing.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah, and that's why this show went to number one. I mean, we got 6 million people listening all over the world.
Wow.
And then Maggie, my co-host here, if you missed the first part of the show, she does a segment in Cantonese and Mandarin about our show. So, and they have people listening. So it's great to network with you guys. It's great to find out about you guys, and we will be on the conference call tomorrow night.
That's wonderful.
Yeah,
Wonderful.
Yeah, we will. Herman, are you from Taiwan too?
No, I'm actually a Filipino and Filipino American, but I have a little Navajo blood in me.
Navajo blood, okay.
And
I have a little bit in me too.
I'm a little warrior in me.
Yeah,
crying out for.
Well, if you guys ever get over here to Arizona or New Mexico, we'll give you the tour up to Winter Rock.
Wonderful. I have never been. I've never been to that. I mean, I've been past to been to some places there where invited to speak, but not where the Navajo Nation is.
Right. It's a beautiful area, and you know what's interesting is, and I say this on the show, you know, Native Americans are the largest private owners, next to the federal government, of coal, oil, natural gas, uranium, copper, diamonds, silver, gold, and the new gold, water.
Yeah.
And because if the federal government back, you know, several hundred years ago would have known what was under all these arid lands, they'd have never gave it to Native Americans.
Right.
You know.
Right.
That's a given. And so they own it. Now they got to fight to protect it. You know, they're constantly in battles with the state courts and the federal courts. And water's one of the big ones because water's real precious here in the Southwest. And they're constantly being sued to try to take away their water rights.
Wow.
Yeah, and they're fighting back. In some cases, they have lousy lawyers. I mean, they're like the lawyers we have in Washington. They're just hacks, political hacks, and they couldn't make it in the real world being a lawyer if they had to come down here to Phoenix. I can tell you that right now.
That's true.
Yeah, so they are constantly under attack, and to try to relinquish their water rights to the city of their argument is, well, the city of Phoenix needs it, the city of Tucson, the city of Las Vegas, Los Angeles needs your water. And they're saying, hey, we'll sell you some water, but we're not going to sell you our water rights. You know, so that's constantly going on. So we talk about that a lot on our show, is to give them a voice and help them out. And we're hoping that someday there'll be sponsors to keep the real deal going. But, you know, my producer here, Kyle Pratt, him and I are really pro-Trump, and we analyze this stuff all the time. And I used to run a campaign for Peter McDonald, the Navajo code talker that was on earlier in the show. And I didn't know anything about politics. And I got involved in it, and I found it very fascinating. But one thing I learned is that when people get mad at you, they vote against you.
That's correct.
And that's what's happening right now in our country. People are mad. They're fed up. They're sick and tired of it. They're tired of getting ripped off. They're tired of electing these politicians, and they go to Washington, D.C., and they sell them out. You know, they say, oh, yeah, we're for you, we're for you. When they get back there, they're bought and sold by the lobbyists and the special interests. So that's what people is saying, and that's why I think Trump's going to carry the day, because people are just going to say, hey, I've had it. I'm going to roll the dice. And, and a businessman, you know, I'd rather take my chances with a businessman than a politician.
Yes. Can I tell you about this issue that I was telling you? Actually, it's very strongly linked with the issue we'll be talking about. This is a Native American, and that is I met with the ambassadors from the Middle East, and that was about the refugee issue. And what hurts me the most is we did not have to have this many refugees in the world, but it was due to the wrongful policy of this politically correctness that Obama refused to call out the terrorists. And as a result, the countries there, they could not trust American judgment. Therefore, they did their whatever thing that they have to do. Eventually, they produce all these refugees that Obama wants to bring to the nation. But now the problem is, when I was told of these Native Americans, how they are treated by my friends who are Native American pastors, and Herman and I, we were both shocked. Like, are you kidding me? I mean, the people that will come off on the boat will have more rights than the native people.
Right.
They live there. They're supposed to own their land. They're supposed to have all this. And look at how we broke the treaties with them.
Right.
You know, talking about a water right issue, yes. The other party, they are really bought off. And for example, I heard that Harry Reid, he owns a lot of water rights in Las Vegas area.
Right.
So how much is going to charge for the water for the people there? So we really, really need to line up with somebody who has better common sense. You know, another big reason is Donald is a businessman.
Right.
And I do believe business people have better common sense. Otherwise, they won't survive.
Right. No, I agree.
You know, they're doing this all over the country. And I was just in Hawaii and for a visit. And I talked to the native Hawaiians there, and I asked them, so what's happening here? They said, well, they pretty much told every one of us that we could no longer plant sugar cane, which is the main industry in Hawaii. So I said, so that is a source of income for a lot of native Hawaiians. And he said, yes. So I said, what happened? He said, well, because they're building homes and houses. And they said, using those sugarcane lands to build homes, houses, and apartments. They said, why is that? He said, well, because there's an increase of refugee coming in, about 10,000 already here, and they want to increase it. And they want to provide homes for the refugees and give them $1,000 per month. And that's Obama. That's his plan. And he said, are you guys not mad? He said, of course we're mad. We're native. We own this land, Hawaii. We're Hawaiians. We can even have homes for ourselves. And I said, but they're giving our land away. And I said that is a disgrace to what has Americans become, because the Americans themselves are losing rights to our own land. And that's similar, you know, and that's the reason why I think if the Native Americans, the Navajos, will start coming together and unite, we can turn this whole thing around and change America.
Well, see, the Democrats, like Hillary Clinton, it's like just what Trump said. They come out and see the Native Americans every 4 years and tell them, oh, yeah, we're going to help you, blah, blah, blah. And then they get their vote, and then they'll say, see you later. We'll see you 4 years from now.
Yep.
You know? And
yeah, they promised, and I was interviewed on TV. It was a largest Philippine American TV, and they asked me, I said, why do you believe Donald Trump can win this election? I said, well, because there's a lot of people that are sick and tired of broken promises by politicians. And Donald Trump is not a politician. He's a man that knows the need of people, and he's concerned, and he loves America, and that's why he's running for office. He wants to lead this country and make this nation great again. So,
well, and the thing that really upsets me is this corrupt media. Mm-hmm. You know, I used to be in the newspaper business, and years ago with Deswood's dad, and you know, you're supposed to have some ethics here. You're supposed to. I mean, you may not like what the truth is, but you got to print it. You know, and the media, all of them, except I'd say 90% of them, except like Lou Dobbs and Hannity, they're all in the tank. And it was on the news tonight. They took all these journalists that donated money to political candidate. 97% of them donated to Hillary Clinton.
Wow, that's it.
97%.
Wow.
So it don't take a rocket scientist to figure out who they're for. You know, and they're slanting the news and they're bashing them. They're throwing everything at them at the kitchen sink, and figuring, you know, we'll just keep hammering them because the media rules. See, they're sick with power. The politicians are sick with power, and the media are sick with power.
Well,
and you know, you've got George Soros funding all of these, this globalist agenda.
Yeah, and not only that,
America.
Not only that,
Soros is funding all of it.
George Soros is funding him, and you know, he must be a total nutcase. But he's also he owns companies that make these voting machines. Did you hear that, Kyle?
I did not.
No. No, I've heard it. And I've looked it up and did as much research. Yeah, he owns machines, these voting machines.
Wow.
And it was and there's some in Texas where people are voting Republican, and when their vote comes out, it comes out all Democrat.
That's it.
Yeah, and
his machine is Smartmatic, and actually, he's the guy who sells all of these machines to a lot of countries all over the world, and a lot of the elections are being rigged by this guy, and he's the one directing every one of them which candidate that he wants to win for his own interest, and he's doing it in America. What a disgrace!
Yeah, it is. It's a total disgrace. And there's pictures of him and Hillary Clinton and his son with that Kaine, the guy. What's the guy's name? Tim Kaine.
Tim Kaine.
Yeah, and so, you know, I mean, it's corrupt, and Donald Trump calls it. He's going to drain the swamp. He needs to drain the sewer. Yeah, it's worse than a swamp. It's a sewer. It's a cesspool.
Yes.
But I want to tell you, actually started very, very early age. I went to University of Washington, and I took broadcasting courses there. And the professor asked, 40 people in the class, how many are liberal, how many are conservative? Guess what? 38 of them raised their hands that they are liberals. Only 2 of us who are conservative.
Right.
So we're really, really outnumbered even from the get-go.
Right.
So there's no surprise. Once they go to the newspaper or TV, they are going to report news from their point of view.
That's right.
But it really doesn't matter. However, I agree with you. However they like the truth or not, they have to print it.
Right.
The trouble is the way they print it, they will flunk even the 101.
Yeah.
Generally, the 101 they'll flunk it.
Yeah, right. Or either that, or they'll put it way on the back page where nobody will read it.
Yeah. Yeah, C38.
Yeah, C38, where nobody can read it. No, that's true. Yeah. Well, I want to thank you guys for being on my show. I'm honored, actually. And tell everybody about who we are, what we're doing, spread the word.
Yes.
And then I look forward to being on a call with you tomorrow night, where we can discuss this at length on a conference call.
Yes. Go ahead, Mina.
Well, thank you so much. So are you the group with Indians with Donald Trump?
Yeah, I'm one of them. Yep.
Okay, well, thank you.
Yeah. Maggie, say something to these people.
Oh, hi, Mina, 你好.
你好, 你好.
Yeah, I for Zhang. All the people in China, they for Donald Trump. Yeah.
Yes.
Well, thank you. So happy to hear that.
Yeah, we want to make America great again.
Amen.
Yes, and in China, we cannot vote. So, but here anybody can vote. So I hope November 8th, anybody go out and vote for Donald Trump. We love him. He's a great man.
Thank you so much.
Yes, he is.
Yeah.
Yes, he is.
Yeah,
I was actually we're going to different states, about 15 states, and actually giving out voter guides and showing the issues that we're facing today as a nation when it comes to the economy, national security, when it comes to the issue of immigration. And a lot of the people and churches, I'm talking about churches, Catholic churches, evangelical churches, are waking up to the reality that if we don't elect Donald Trump to be the next president, we might end up losing this country. And this is it. This is the time where we need to say enough is enough. No more business as usual. We cannot sit this out. We need to go vote November 8th. And Asian Americans and Native Americans can work together to be a voice that can shift this nation and turn this nation around.
Right.
To turn this nation around and make this nation a stronger nation where freedom again, where freedom is protected, where people can worship and where people can have a liberty to do what God called them to do.
Right. No, I agree. I think this is it. You're right. And people need to understand that all the chips are on the line now.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Yeah. Just like China, the president, his business people now we learn China is very good. Just like a couple months ago, then we find to Oriental, right? They say China is the number 3.
Right. Yeah, we were in the city of Orlando. Brought us over there about 2 or 3 months ago, and we did our show there. Actually, they flew us over, and it was the World Trade Center of Orlando, in the city of Orlando, and the Community Exchange, Smart Community Exchange people. They had me speaking at an entrepreneurial conference, and then we did our radio show there at the Hyatt Hotel where we were staying. And there was people there from all over the world, and they were talking about all the different things that they do, and a lot of them were entrepreneurs. And there was quite a few people there from Finland. And I got to meet with them, and I was with them at night. We'd have dinner and stuff, and got to be social with them. And so the night they were all on my show. They come on my show. The Hyatt gave us a big boardroom, and we did broadcast our show out of there. And Kyle was here in the studio in Scottsdale. And so after the show, we were out in the bar, and I was talking to him, and I says, I got to ask you, what makes you guys so smart? I says, you're ranked number 1 in the world. Finland is number 1 in the world for education, math, sciences, and number 2 is South Korea, and number 3 is China. And we're number like 28 or 30, somewhere in there, United States. So I asked him, I says, what makes you guys so smart? And he looked at me and he says, Chief, he says, you know what? Why we're number 1? I said, why? And he says, because we have business people running our country.
Yes.
That's what he said. He says, we have business people running our country.
Yes, come on.
Yeah, so there you go. That's why I'm rolling the dice with Trump, because he's a businessman.
Yes.
Today he opened his new hotel in Washington, D.C. He took the old post office. And I can remember because I used to be in Washington, D.C. every week for my family's companies. I was there every Friday. And the old post office was ready to fall down. And, I mean, it was closed, fenced, and it was just deteriorating. And he bought that old post office, and he turned it into a hotel, a beautiful. And today was the grand opening. I don't know if you've seen it on TV.
Yes, I did. It was beautiful. Beautiful hotel.
And he did it like 16 months ahead of under budget and ahead of schedule.
Wow.
And they said, well, it's going to cost this many millions. He did it for like 70% of what they said it was going to cost, and he did it 16 months ahead of schedule. So there you go.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's why we need Donald Trump to be the president, because he knows how to do business.
Yeah.
And we've been spending so much. I'm also a businessman, and if you keep spending, and what happens to you is that pretty much you're going to drain your resources, and that's what we've been doing in America. We've been given so much and receiving so little. We need to renegotiate our deals abroad and deals here in the other countries that we work with as a nation. That's why we need to have Donald Trump to do all that.
Yeah, and like he said, we spent I don't know, was it $6 trillion on giving money to all these countries. He said we could have rebuilt America twice.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
That's correct. We've given so much money to countries that hate us.
Yeah, they hate us.
That the Middle East that hates us. I've been to the Middle East times, and I mean, everywhere I go, they're anti-American. They don't love America in the Middle East, and these are the people that plot evil against us. We go to, been to Kuwait and different others, and you know who runs their country? Our people. You know who runs their military? Our people. But yet they hate us so much, and we give them Saudi Arabia. We give them almost $30 billion a year in aid, and these guys, they got tons of money, and we're giving aid, and we're giving planes and everything that they can think of. They want, we give it to them, and it's about time to say enough is enough. If you want us to protect you, then you have to pay up.
Right, and you'll see, like Saudi Arabia and them, how much money they donate to the Clinton Foundation.
They're donating about $30 billion a year to Saudi Arabia, about $20 billion a year to the Emirates and Kuwait, and billions of dollars.
Right, and they're giving all kinds of money to the Clinton Foundation to try to keep her in office.
That's right. Yeah, connect the dots, and that's what it is. Just follow the money trail.
That's right. Follow the trail of the money.
People.
Follow the trail.
Those are the people.
Follow the trail of the money. It never lies.
Well, just to support one more point, why we had to support Donald Trump as a businessman, because I talked to the ambassadors there, and they said, I asked the same question, we give you so much money, why do you hate us so much? He said, well, because the administration never talked to us, the Obama people. They go to war in their country, they send troops in their country, but they do not even talk to the ambassadors to have a strategy plan, to tell them, what is that going to do. They don't even work out a plan with them.
Right.
So you end up throw money there, you squander all the money and people. Then you leave, you don't tell them. I mean, who's going to be happy about it?
Right, yeah, I understand. Well, we're going to have to move on, but I can't thank you, Mina and Herman, enough. And if you ever get to Arizona, please come and see us. Come into the studio on a Wednesday, be on our show. Spread the word. This is our show. This is our mission, Native Americans for Donald Trump. And,
we will.
And Native Americans because on this political correctness, I tell everybody I'm here to tell the truth and deliver the message.
Good job.
Yeah, that's what I'm here for.
Thank you.
And these people that want to change the names of all the teams and the college teams, and now they're after the high schools. They went to listen to this. They went to California. Wow. They went to the education committee in Sacramento, and these political correctness, this Halbritter quack, this idiot, he went to the education committee in Sacramento, bribed the politicians into passing a resolution, and Governor Brown signed it into law back in January, banning all the names of schools in the state of California that had Native American names.
That's ridiculous.
That is ridiculous.
It is ridiculous, but it's true, and they did it. And these people has all been on my show, and you know what I tell these people? I'm going to tell you right now. You know what the problem with these political correctness people is?
You can't handle the truth.
From the dark end of the street to the bright side of the road, we'll be lovers once again on the bright side of the road. Little darling, come with me. Little darling, come with me. Would you help me sing my song? Help me share my load from the dark end of the street to the bright side of the road. Running into this life we're born, baby. Sometimes I don't know why. Time seems to go by so fast. in the twinkling of an eye. Let's enjoy it while we can. Let's enjoy it while we can. Help me share my load. Help me share my load. From the dark end of the street to the bright side of the road. Life we're born, baby. Sometimes I don't know why. Time seems to go by so fast. The twinkling of the light. Let's enjoy it while we can. Let's enjoy it while we can. Help me share my love. Help me share my love from the dark end of the street to the bright side of the road. Hit me! Come on, everybody! Uno, dos, tres. From the dark end of the street to the dark end of the street, the bright side of the road. Bright side of the road. Join us once again on the bright side of the road. Everybody put your hands up. Come on. One more time. On the dark end of the street. Dark end of the street. To the bright side of the road. Bright side of the road. The lovers once again on the bright side of the road. Bright side of the road.
Okay, we're back. My next guest, ladies and gentlemen, is a very, very dear friend of mine, and she's like a sister to me. And when the times got tough in my life over the past couple of years, she was always there for me. Her name is Margaret Clark Price, and I'll tell you a little bit about her. She's been on our show before. She's a motivational speaker with over 20 years of experience. She's affiliated with the Huron, Wyandot Indian Nations, White Earth, Chippewa, and Shawnee. She was born and reared on 4 reservations: Colville Indian Agency in Washington, Standing Rock Sioux, North Dakota, Sioux Reservation, South Dakota, Navajo Reservation, Winter Rock, Arizona. Her tribal registration is adopted Shawnee with the Cherokee tribe in Oklahoma. She's also a paralegal. She's a publisher of Native American Annual Incline Village of Nevada, executive director of the Native American Press Association in Scottsdale, co-founder and associate editor of Native Peoples Magazine in Phoenix, president of the Native American Communication and Career Development, founder of Santa Maria Artist Group in Glendale. And as I said, she's a very good friend. Margaret, welcome to The Real Deal. Thanks for coming on.
Well, thank you, Dennis. How are you?
I'm doing okay. How you been?
Well, I've been fine. I just got back last night from Illinois, where I took care of my twin grandchildren so that my son could go on a much-needed vacation.
Well, great. How was Illinois? Was it cold or?
Actually, Illinois was wonderful. Beautiful colors this time of year. Not too much cold. I thought it was going to be colder than it was, but it was beautiful. The only thing I had difficulty with was the political mood, if you will.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, go ahead.
Well, luckily, there were some people that were working on my son's landscaping, and he's also doing some house remodeling, and happened to be 4 fellows that were just the salt of the earth guys, and they are all Trumpsters, thank God.
Good.
But they all would like to get out of Illinois. They want to move. They, like myself, are just really tired of the political mindset. It's very liberal, extremely liberal. And they're having great difficulty just living there.
Right. Is that because, do you think, Illinois, is that because of unions, or just that's just the way the people that...
Well, if you talk to these 4 fellows who were born and reared right there in Illinois where I was, I had to laugh because all 4 of them agreed that most everybody that lives there, they believe that they're geniuses.
Right.
And it's just very difficult to live with, just very difficult.
Right.
Especially when we are looking at the survival of our country and you're talking with people who just don't get it. They just don't get it.
Well, they better get it, because this country's going to change. If Hillary Clinton wins, this country is going to change dramatically.
Well, oh my gosh, Dennis. I honestly wish there was such a thing as time travel, because I'd like to go back in time. I do not recognize our country at all.
Right. Yeah.
And the sad thing is that the young people of today have absolutely no clue about our country. Just no clue. So many of the college kids think that ISIS is a new nightclub.
Yeah.
Oh my God. We are in trouble, big time.
Yeah. I don't know if you got to hear my 2 previous guests. They're national advisors and international advisors to Donald Trump. And if you didn't listen to them, the show will be up here after a while. Go back and listen to it.
I will.
Yeah, these guys are really interesting, this woman and man. And they've been to the Trump Towers and had meetings with Donald Trump, and they're like all of us. They're all in, and one of them she's Taiwan American, mm-hmm. and then the other one is Filipino American. Mm-hmm. And these people are proud to be Americans, and like a lot of people that come here legally, and I have friends here in Scottsdale, and I think you've probably met them here at my home years ago, that are from Italy and Austria and in Sweden and Switzerland, and they all come here legally. And to become an American citizen in this country, it's a tough deal. I mean, you just don't. You got to take tests, history tests. You got to know our history.
Trust me, they know our history better than people that are natural born here.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm. And when you sit and listen to them, and they're telling you, this is what we had to do to become a legal U.S. citizen, but we wanted to be a U.S. citizen so bad we did it. Mm-hmm. And now so they can see, where this thing's going. I don't know if it's because of where they come from and where their country is at now, and they can see where we're headed. So they're out there leading the call. And saying,
well, it's so heartbreaking when you realize how many foreign people are warning us, and I don't know if it's the majority. I pray that it isn't, but so many other people give absolutely no credibility to these warnings.
Right.
And we are headed down a precipice where there is no return. There's no return.
Yeah, I know. And then
extremely frightening. But if you look at Trump's rallies and the numbers of people that attend his rallies and have been attending as compared to Hillary, it would seem to me that the rallies alone are telling us that Trump is going to be the winner.
It is. But you know what's really sad?
The big thing, of course, is to watch the Electoral College.
Right.
And I think people need to be aware of who in their state is part and parcel of the Electoral College and let them know that we're watching.
Right. Yeah, Kyle, my producer here, we talk about this a lot, and we said many times it should be the popular vote. The people should decide, not the Electoral College.
Right. No, I tend to agree with that. I tend to agree.
You know, and then I read somewhere that the Democrats were the ones that come up with the Electoral College because they didn't want Jesse Jackson to win. I don't know how true.
Well, I could not comment on that because I don't really know.
I don't either.
But I do know that what we have right now is not working.
Right.
And we have got to get very serious once we get Mr. Trump in. We have got to get serious about looking at the way things run and making changes. There's just no question. Yeah,
and the media, and you know, I say it on this show, they say, well, it's the liberal media. No, it's the media. All the media.
Exactly. It's all media.
It's all media. And I go on these chat rooms and just blast the hell out of them. And they tell me, oh, you better get out of here, Dennis, because you're a spammer. And I think, go to hell. You know?
Yeah, well, here's my thought about the media. If you ever want to know the answer to anything, follow the money.
Right. Follow the trail of the
simple.
money. Yep.
Follow the money. And look who owns the media. Look who owns all the stations, etc. They're all related somehow, one way or another, through marriage, whatever.
Right.
To the Clinton cartel. There's no question about it.
And
but, again, I'm sure you understand that the human being cannot handle being ignored. If you ever want to really upset somebody, ignore them.
Yeah.
Because they can't handle it. The human cannot handle it.
Yeah. And
my feeling is we need to totally turn off all television, news, media.
No, I don't watch it. It upsets me so bad. That's why I called you the other night, and thank you for calling me back. I was just totally upset. And you know, just watching all this stuff, I just have to turn it off because it just makes me so mad listening to this crap. You know?
It makes me physically ill. I can't watch it. I can't hear it. I will not watch it. I will not hear it.
Yeah.
There's no way.
It's disgusting. And
people have forgotten the true meaning of, quote, unto thyself be true.
Yeah. And in the media, you know, when I do hear something, they'll say, well, oh, the crowds, oh, that don't mean nothing. He's got 400,000 and Hillary's got 14,000. Oh, that don't mean anything.
Yeah,
BS.
Right.
You know, it's just...
Well, all I can do is continually talk positively about Mr. Trump. Anytime I can get onto Facebook, I post as much of the stuff as I can that is against Hillary and what she's done and what she's doing, and do the positive things on Trump and pray.
Yeah, that's all you can do.
That's all we can do.
And I'll tell you what, this guy with WikiLeaks, I'm telling you, this guy, they should give him the Nobel Prize.
Oh, he's a hero.
He is a hero.
No question.
I mean, he's showed the people, the American people, including the media, you know, what a crook these people in Washington are. And I'm talking Republicans, Democrats. When they get back there, I used to do business in Washington big time. I know what pay to play means better than anybody. I think they invented the 3-martini lunch after me because I was there every Friday, boy, and I wined and dined them because that's what you had to do.
That's right.
You know, you had to wine and dine these guys because if you didn't, you were going to fall to the back of the line.
And that's so wrong because
it is wrong.
Have been voted in for us, the people.
Right.
As soon as they get in, and I don't care if they're honest and straightforward, when they get in, give them a few months, they're going to be so twisted.
That's what happens when they're here in Phoenix. They're sitting here with you. They're one of the good old boys. They're just like you. But once they get to Washington, they're corrupted.
Well, and the same is true with that article that you sent to me on the Native American who is in D.C.
Right.
And he beat up that young
kid,
young Sioux boy, for wearing a Redskin shirt or whatever the heck it was.
Yeah.
And I'm going to just say it, Dennis. I have known many Native Americans that we called D.C. Redskins, and that was a derogatory term.
Right.
Because they get into D.C., and they suddenly turn on their own people.
Right.
Because to be a D.C. Redskin assumes that you are above your own people.
Right.
And it goes to their head, and they get twisted and turned, and they turn their backs on their own people.
Right.
They're traitors to their own people as well as to to America.
Right. Yeah, it's sad. It's sad.
It's heartbreaking.
Yeah. Well, Margaret, I want you to come on my show sometime in the studio.
That would be fun. I would like that.
Yeah, and then we'll go have dinner or something.
Oh, honey, that would be awesome.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, we're at the end of
in the meantime, with the holidays looming, I pray that you have a good holiday. Christmas to New Year's, obviously Thanksgiving.
Yep.
Be safe.
I will.
Stay vigilant.
Yep, and thanks for taking my call when I need it.
Oh, honey, I'm as far away as my phone, always and forever.
Okay.
All right, sweetheart. You take good care of yourself.
Okay, you too. Be safe.
All right.
Bye-bye. That was Margaret Clark Price, and she is the real deal.
Seems like a sweet lady.
Oh, she is. And she's very well known in Native American circles. Jane and her family are big-time friends with her and her family. And her dad was like the area director of the Navajo Nation. That's a big deal.
Yeah.
To be the area director of the Bureau of Indian Affairs.
It'd be cool if you got her in studio.
Yeah, and she's just a really cool lady, and she's been a friend of ours for many, many years. So we're going to take one more short break, and then we'll be right back. Okay, we're back. We're at the end of the line. I want to thank everybody for listening to our show tonight. I thought we had a good show, didn't you, Kyle?
Yeah, good guess. Interesting guess.
Yeah. Those are national and international advisors to Donald Trump. As all, in closing, I want to thank all of our people in the armed services here and abroad for protecting our great country. As I said earlier, I'm here to tell the truth, deliver the message. All lives matter. Remember that. All lives matter. We are all God's children. And that was told to me by John Graves' father, Tom Graves, many, many years ago. So please buy propane from our sponsor, Graves Propane, Swisher Air Conditioner, and Humate International, Humate. Please consider being a sponsor on The Real Deal. We're not here to make money. We're just here to keep on the air. You can contact me at yellowhorse.us or email me at info@yellowhorse.us, or you can call 602-540-3000 for advertising on The Real Deal. Kyle, why don't you tell all of our listeners all over the world why the ambassador is here?
To kick ass and save names, Ambassador.
See you next week.
Thank you for listening to The Real Deal. Tune in to The Real Deal with the Ambassador and special guest hosts every Wednesday at 5 p.m. and on demand 24/7 right here on Star Worldwide Networks.